Chapter 2282. It seems that we are wrong. The war on Earth has come to an end. The resistance force, almost all the Epsilon-level aliens of the Wulwan Empire, were killed in the battle. Although there are still hundreds of thousands of soldiers and 20 million people left, they are as weak as insects in front of the Mechanical Legion and the alien coalition of Huashu Kingdom. The shouts and cries of killing were deafening, and flames shot up into the sky. Even if you looked down from the sky, you could see flames burning everywhere and hear faint wailing. Jang Yi was now extremely skinny, his body like a skeleton, and looked extremely creepy. In order to kill Jang Yi, he has burned himself out. However, it only exhausted Ling's physical strength, but now he still needs to face Jang Yi in his prime. Ability Index 40,000 points, Black Bishop level. Wearing the armor of the Ichigal Demon God, holding a biological weapon with an ability index of 23,000 points and built with the Green Knight boss as the main body. Jang Yi's comprehensive combat effectiveness at this time has at least reached 45,000 points. Uncle Zhenglu, the Imperial Palace has been attacked by the enemy. The Imperial City has been breached. Come and rescue us. Your Excellency Marshal, 5 silver-armored generals from East City, West City, and South City have died in battle. We can't hold on any longer. The bad news kept coming, weighing heavily on Zheng Lu's heart. The battle between him and Jang Yi had already exhausted all his strength, but he didn't expect that even on the battlefield below, the army that had the home advantage was also beaten by the enemy. All this was so unbelievable that Zheng Lu felt like he was having a nightmare. How could this happen? How were you able to grow to this level in such a short time? On Zheng Lu's skull-like head, in the 2 deep sunken eye sockets, his eyes were full of confusion and even more of unwillingness. Jang Yi frowned slightly. Is this strange? Don't forget that we, the 6th generation of humans, are still the protagonists of this era. These words were like a heavy hammer, hitting Zheng Lu's heart hard. The protagonist of the era. Child of Destiny. Yes, that's it. The Wulwan Empire forgot this point, which led to its defeat. Every generation of human beings is created by the Creator, and each has its own mission. Except for the first generation, which was a failure and was directly wiped out by the flood, extremely powerful individuals were born at the end of each subsequent generation. The 2nd generation Ihan, the 3rd generation Drucker, the 4th generation Yakran, and the 5th generation Ihuan are all like this. Only the 6th generation was still weak when the end of the world came. This made the people of the Wulwan Empire look down on them, thinking that they were products of failure like the 1st generation, and therefore were directly wiped out by the Creator. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Their evolution speed is faster than imagined, a speed that would amaze other generations of humans. In just 1 million years, they completed the natural evolution that would take them hundreds of millions of years. Even though the 6th generation of humans is about to face drastic changes in the world, they are still favored, and the Creator's mercy on them has not disappeared. We misunderstood the Creator's will. Is this the reason for our downfall? Zheng Lu looked up at the sky and sighed in despair. Hearing this, Jang Yi couldn't help but frown and asked, "What do you mean by this?" Zheng Lu looked at Jang Yi, and perhaps because of his excessive anger and despair, he became calm instead. If this is destiny, they have gone against the will of the Creator and cannot blame anyone else for the outcome today. The 6th generation of humans is weak and frail. The end of the world is approaching. We believe this is the Creator's intention to destroy you and create a new, more perfect race. That's why we appear on the surface of the planet. By following the Creator's will, eliminating the old humans and making room for the new, we might gain the Creator's favor and survive for a few more years. But he was silent for a moment, his voice filled with despair. It seems we were wrong. Perhaps that global ice age wasn't punishment from the Creator. Instead, it was a spur to accelerate your evolution. Jang Yi felt an inexplicable feeling in his heart. Zheng Lu knew just as much history as he did. After all, the Wulwan clan had existed for a very long time. These words gave Jang Yi a new idea. If the creator did not want to destroy 6 generations of humans but wanted them to evolve, then what was his purpose? Suddenly, my thoughts began to become clear. The purpose of evolution is to create stronger individuals and then fight against certain existences. Druk Protoss? Are they about to recover? Jang Yi vaguely felt that he had grasped the truth about the end of the world, but this was just a guess, and he still needed to obtain more information. Jang Yi raised the magic knife in his hand. There's no point in talking about this now, right? Zhenglu, our feud should be settled today. Just let me take you on your way. Zhenglu suddenly sneered. Let's go together? Jang Yi shook his head. No, only you. No, only you guys. Zhenglu opened his mouth and roared. You are truly too naive. The Wulwan Empire has existed for hundreds of millions of years, so it's not like they are completely defenseless against invasions. He used his authority and gave orders directly to C. Emperor C of the Wulwan Empire. I order you, in the name of our ancestors. Immediately activate the self-destruct system and let these damned invaders be buried with the entire Wulwan Empire. Zhang Lu stared at Jang Yi with a crazy smile on his face. Ha ha ha. Do you really think you'll be the winner in the end? These troops should be the entire strength of your country, right? If I leave all of them here, your country will be destroyed. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stared at Jang Yi with a look that seemed to want to drag his enemy to hell. If I kill you again, everything will be over. We lost, but you won't be the winners either. Zhang Yi looked at him calmly. Oh. Then what? Zhang Yi's reaction was too calm. Originally, after Zheng Lu finished talking about the self-destruct system, he was happily waiting to see Zhang Yi's twisted and crazy face. At this time, he could take the opportunity to find Zhang Yi's weakness and then kill Zhang Yi. But nothing he imagined happened, and Zhang Yi's indifferent expression made him feel very disappointed. Don't you care if everyone you bring dies? He asked in a cold voice. Of course I do. Zhang Yi smiled brightly. However, what makes you think that everything in the Wulwan Empire is still under your control? Chapter 2283 Zhang Yi's Full Abilities. Zheng Lu didn't understand what Zhang Yi wanted to express, but after waiting for a while, the expected terrible explosion still did not occur, and he finally became a little panicked. CE, what are you doing? I asked you to detonate the entire Wulwan Empire immediately. Do you want to go against the will of our ancestors? But no matter how he shouted, there was no response from the communication channel. Zhang Yi looked at him from a distance. Don't bother. I know about the so-called self-destruct system. Perhaps almost everything in the Wulwan Empire is under my control. For this battle, we used human brains and supercomputers to simulate no less than 2 billion times, taking into account all possibilities. But unless your Wulwan Empire suddenly transforms into a god-level civilization, possessing the power to absolutely crush all civilizations in the world, you will undoubtedly lose this battle. The magic knife in Zhang Yi's hand suddenly turned. Now, there's only one last step left. The magic knife slashed in front of him, and there was no energy fluctuation. Only the spatial field that carried Zhenglu's body. The string was broken. Puff. 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 A muffled sound came from Zhenglu's body, like cutting a thick piece of old cowhide with a knife. There were many scars on Zhenglu's body. His blood and energy had almost evaporated. There was not much flesh and blood left. He was basically just skin and bones. If his strength was not strong enough to give him superhuman vitality at this level of life, it is hard to imagine how he could continue to live. Dimensional string solution. Unsolvable attack, no defense, can only be resisted by relying on powerful force. But the prerequisite is that you must use your powerful superpowers to form a shield at all times to protect all parts of your body. Zhenglu obviously doesn't have the power to do such a thing now. He realized that everything was over. I never thought that the Wulwan Empire would be destroyed by my hands. Zhenglu burst into laughter. His laughter was full of despair and bitterness, and 2 lines of green tears flowed from his eyes. Regardless of the outcome of today's battle, the Wulwan Empire will be completely destroyed. Because even if he defeated Jang Yi, this civilization would ultimately be unable to withstand the invasion of the future Doomsday catastrophe. At most, he himself could survive. Even if the country and civilization are gone, I don't want to live alone. Chaos. You are worthy enough for me to say your name. Today, I, Zheng Lu, will perish with you. Boom. A kind of dark green flame suddenly appeared on the surface of Zheng Lu's body, wrapping up his entire body and then burning fiercely. Jang Yi knew what the other party was doing. That is the attitude of having lost everything, not wanting to live anymore, and burning one's life at all costs to fight the enemy. Anger doesn't make you strong. Jang Yi did not show any fear, but instead held the magic knife tightly in both hands. The red energy crystal was already burning fiercely, reaching its optimal combat state. Clatter. The binding chains were born from nothingness, and the power of the rule system has now changed due to Zheng Lu's changes. The chains have all turned into a dark green color, which is particularly creepy. Just don't let those chains lock me up. Jang Yi knew the power of the binding chains. Once touched, they would quickly sweep through the vitality in the body, and it can cross all spatial barriers to hit the enemy. But today's Jang Yi is no longer the weak existence he was during the First Tianhai War. Bring it on. Dark realm chasing flow. Jang Yi spoke softly and swung the magic knife in his hand violently. The huge black hole behind him surged with energy like a dark tide. The dark tide wrapped around Jang Yi's arm and flowed between the blades. As the blade was swung out, it was like a huge dark river surging in the sky. Call. The storm was howling, and the black dark matter river, under the control of Jang Yi's mind, swirled and turned into the nine-bend yellow river, sweeping towards Zheng Lu. As long as it comes into contact with it, it will immediately trigger a terrifying matter-antimatter annihilation effect, causing an explosion more terrifying than the death of love. Zheng Lu laughed strangely, and the chains behind him were densely packed and spread out like the huge wings of a butterfly. Boom! His body's speed increased to the extreme, and his hands condensed a black energy ball of Su Tianming and blasted it directly forward. Su Tianming and Dark World Zhulu came into direct contact, and the powerful energies of the two positive and negative matter directly triggered a terrifying energy storm. But Zheng Lu had gone crazy at this time. He didn't even wait for the energy storm to disappear. He directly tore the hurricane apart with his bare hands and rushed towards Jang Yi. Ha ha ha. His smile was extremely creepy, as if his brain had lost control of his body, and therefore his speed was even faster. Jang Yi was not panicked at all. His crazy fighting posture looked scary, but losing his mind would lead to defeat. In an instant, Jang Yi activated all his abilities. In the swamp of time, a spatial hysteresis effect has occurred within a 3-kilometer radius. 1,000 times spatial acceleration. Improve my reaction speed. The two realms are separated, forming a skin-fitting coating to protect me. The second hand of time. Predicting the future. This is definitely the most powerful opponent Jang Yi has ever encountered in his life. So he was not careless at all and increased his combat effectiveness to the extreme. Without the spatial constraints of the binding chains, Jang Yi could use the spatial shuttle more freely. Even though those huge dark green chains were chasing him like a group of poisonous snakes, he was always able to distance himself from them in the first place. Then there was the crazy bombing of the Dark World. Su Tianming. Zheng Lu unleashed an energy attack at all costs, fighting with his life on the line, venting his despair over the destruction of his country and his race. But now, his body was in too great a condition to launch an effective attack when facing Jang Yi, who was far inferior to him in strength. After one crazy exchange after another, Jang Yi left scars on his body that were not fatal. Dimensional string release and break the bond between two worlds are both instant skills that cannot be avoided. Although the injury was very shallow, for Zheng Lu at this time, the continuous damage was like dripping water wearing away a stone, which could wear away his vitality bit by bit. On the other hand, it was extremely difficult for Zheng Lu to hit Jang Yi's real body. Jang Yi has too many defenses on his body. Ling's body in his hand alone is an excellent cold weapon that is almost indestructible. A unique weapon, the one-horned bronze spear. Jang Yi was glad that Ling was on standby at this time, otherwise he would definitely be beaten to death if she knew about it. Even the one in the ether couldn't accept what he did. But now it's a life-and-death moment, and I can't care about many things at all. Chapter 2280, for the origin of Night Level. The battle between Jang Yi and Jing Lu was extremely terrifying. The energy fluctuations changed the color of the sky, and the storm swirled. But Jang Yi's defense was really perfect. Even though Ling's energy was exhausted, it was still a good weapon. Compared to Jing Lu, who had lost the will to live and whose body was drained, his condition was much better. Jing Lu launched an attack desperately, but no matter how hard he hit, his attack could not break through Jang Yi's defense. It's time to send you on your way. After confirming that Jing Lu's goal was only to kill him, Jang Yi was completely relieved. He could confirm that Jing Lu would not attack others crazily or go straight to Huashu Kingdom to attack their homeland. In a state of complete despair, Jing Lu regarded Jang Yi as the source of disaster that must be dealt with before he died. This is exactly what Jang Yi wants to see. Jang Yi raised his left hand, and dimensional doors opened up in space. Infinite coffin box. Dimensional doors were quickly connected, and with Jang Yi as the center, doors could be opened at will within a 4-kilometer radius. These doors form a closed space. Jing Lu felt the change in space, but he did not retreat at all because Jang Yi's door could not trap him. Jing Lu opened his big mouth, and a black energy cannon shot toward Jang Yi's body in a simple and unpretentious manner. Jang Yi dodged and entered the dimensional gate, and then appeared from behind Jing Lu the next moment. If any of the 3,000 dimensional doors is opened, it means that Jang Yi can enter the other dimensional space at any time and emerge from a random door. Boom! Jing Lu's attack slammed into the dimensional gates, but those dimensional gates just shook a little and were not shattered. Jing Lu felt incredible. Even though he was seriously injured and dying, he was still a night-level alien. This kind of black bishop-level space door can actually withstand his power? This is incredible. Jang Yi was able to see the entire process. In the world behind the door, a pyramid only a dozen meters high stands on the pure white open space. It is called a pyramid, but in fact it is just a tower made of stacked cylindrical bronze columns. There is no artificial bonding, it is just a simple stacking. At most there is a little bit of artificial equipment located in the center of the pyramid. This material looks particularly familiar. It comes from the bronze pillar that seals Mammon in the Devil's Eye. When Jang Yi entered the Devil's Eye, he did not miss anything that could be collected. He brought out a part of the bronze pillar that could not be shaken by the supernatural powers of these bishop-level aliens. Although it was very little, he later asked Liu Qian to study this material. It is not the best choice for making weapons, but a pure sealing object with a powerful energy-absorbing function. Almost all the energy that Jing Lu shot into the alien space was absorbed by it. That's why Jang Yi dared to open 3,000 dimensional doors in front of him without restraint. Come on, fight to your heart's content. Jang Yi waved the magic knife, and terrifying dark matter energy spread out from the void behind him, like a dark and sticky tide. The dark world follows the flow, and the dark matter turns into a torrent that devours everything, rolling in. Jing Lu continued to fight back, while trying to attack Jang Yi by waving the binding chains. But it was all in vain. It's time to end it. When the pyramid absorbed enough power, Jang Yi suddenly closed all the dimensional doors. Crack, crack. The joints of the demon mecha suddenly closed up, locking Jang Yi's body like a steel cage. This is not a seal, but a complete protection. Let me show you how it feels to be killed by your own strength. Jang Yi raised his right hand, and a dark sphere suddenly emerged. It contains endless destructive power, the power of darkness and chaos, intertwined into one. During the battle just now, all the power released, including Jang Yi's own energy and Jing Lu's energy, were all gathered in one place by the pyramid. At this moment, Jang Yi condensed all the strength and released his most powerful attack. Let me be your last, Jing Lu. This is the price you pay for your arrogance and cruelty to hundreds of millions of people in the entire Huaxiu kingdom. Blasphemy. This was the second time Jang Yi released this ability in this battle. The backlash of the ability was too strong, but fortunately, it was not him who suffered the damage for the first time, but Ling's human body. Therefore, he was able to release his power a second time. This was not the first time that Zhenglu was attacked by this power, but the feeling of being so hot that his body was about to be burned to ashes was even stronger than the first time. Because he was exhausted and had no way to resist the invasion of this force anymore. Hiss! Zhenglu faced the dark sun in the sky head-on. The terrifying energy radiation spread out indiscriminately, and there was no direction or angle where he could avoid it. Zhenglu let out the last wail of a lizard man. No matter how he resisted, under the horrifying darkness, his body quickly shriveled up, dissipated, and turned into ashes all over the sky. Zhenglu, the military god of the Wulwan Empire and the Grand Marshal of the three armies, died in battle. Only after personally confirming that his vital signs had disappeared did Jang Yi let out a long breath. Even though he had calculated everything, he still fought this battle with extreme caution. Zhenglu's vitality and strength are even stronger than he imagined. But fortunately, it did not exceed his expected limit. Although this battle was somewhat difficult, it was one without any surprises. In the sky, everything dissipated, leaving only a powerful and rich source of supernatural power that was so strong that it made people unable to take their eyes off it, quietly floating in the air. Only alien eyes can see this energy, which comes from the ether and shapes the energy of the entire material world. An extremely hot light flashed in Jang Yi's eyes. The ability index is 52,000 points, the original power of the night level. If he can obtain it and absorb it completely, it won't take too long for him to be promoted to a knight. By that time, he will become invincible in the human world. Even if he encounters some less powerful underground civilizations, he can still defeat them. Jang Yi quickly activated his ability to travel through space and was about to go over and take the origin into his own hands. But at this moment, something strange happened. The human form of Ling, which had been exhausted of energy and was in his hand, suddenly opened its eyes. She moved without warning, and then, one step ahead of Jang Yi, jumped directly into the huge alien origin. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.